Welcome to Relationship Mastery, a podcast for those who want to learn how to master the art of creating happy, healthy, and loving relationships. Please join me, Adey-Jones, and my co-host, Barry Selby, each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific for a lively and informative conversation on everything to do with relationships. Welcome, everybody. And as we mentioned last week, this week we're talking about older men and younger women. That came up last week. I was telling Barry that a friend of mine always asked me, aren't I afraid that my partner of 14 years is going to find a younger woman? And that led into about confidence and everything. So that's what we talked about last week. But I thought we'd go back and visit this subject of older men, younger women, that is on a lot of older women's minds. A lot of older women say, oh, but men just want younger women. I'm too old. I'm past that and everything. And again, just before we dive into this, of course we know that it's not just men that like younger women. There are often women that like younger men too. It's just that it's less common. And it's less of a fear, I think, for women that, well, actually, that's not true. I'm thinking if you are an older woman with a younger man, you might fear that that younger man is going to find a younger woman attractive. So there is that trickle down effect. But as you are the man today, Barry.
I'm thinking I'm the man every time, aren't I?
Well, I meant to say, as you were the man on the spot today, I thought it would be really interesting to just hear your. I mean, I'll definitely share my experience with older men when I was much younger. But I'd like to hear from you. What are your views on, and do you find yourself attracted to younger women or women of your own age? And what has your experience been with that?
Now, let me just start off by saying that I may not be the same as every other man on the planet. So what I'm saying is my particular opinion and perspective and experience, not every man, just in case somebody listening is going, that's not the experience I've had, just to be clear. So,
we're all unique as
exactly. But I'm not speaking from a place of doing lots of research, say all men think this way. This is just my own experience. So for me, I'm just in terms of over my lifetime, noticing my attraction to other women has generally been, yes, it's almost instilled in me from a very young age that a woman usually be a few years younger than me, like just as a general caveat, like all the way through. And I've noticed that my acceptable range younger than me of a woman who I'm actually going to be interested in is not the same as the range of women who I'm attracted to. So I'm differentiate those two. Because the thing is, I know, I mean, yeah, there are gorgeous women of all ages I see all the time, different places, in their 20s, which I would never think about dating. So that's why I'm going to make this differentiation, because for me, what I find attractive isn't necessarily what I want to date, because they're qualities, because we'll get into conversation about this, is that what I find attractive is purely visual, the physical appearance. It's very rare for me to find a woman who's young, like a lot younger than me, who I find fascinating to talk to, who's got depth and done all their work. Because generally speaking, we don't do our work till we've got past a certain point in our lives. This is my experience. So what I find attractive is a larger age range. What I find I want to be around in terms of dating and being in a relationship with, maximum age difference is probably maybe 15 years at most. Like basically someone who's in their early 50s and up for me. Now, yes, there are women in their 40s I find attractive, but I'm noticing this feeling of difference that I don't find I can bridge. And it's just a personal opinion. But I find women who are even in their 40s, who may be looking at me as possible dates, because and I say I play younger than I am. That's like a movie cliche. But people think I'm younger than I am oftentimes. And it's funny because I always thought up until about 30, people thought I was older than I was. And then somewhere around 30, 35, it switched. And so people thought I was younger than I actually am, which is not a bad thing. So when I'm around a woman who's in the 40s, think that I'm, early 50s, I'm actually in my 60s, that feels inappropriate, or it feels like false. So for me, being around a woman who's under 50, again, that's crossing a line for me. I find many women in their 40s very attractive, and I might want to hang out with them and play, but I don't want to date them. There's a different energy there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know it's, well, I'm just curious though, sort of what feelings come up when you go below that, what is you say there's a line and you say that, it's.
Yeah.
there's a different what is that change? What gets triggered in you when they become, 20 years younger as opposed to 15 years younger?
For me, it's a blend of a few things. One is because I've been in this work for a long time, it's easier to spot where they haven't done the work. First of all, that's true of any age, true, but much more likely when it's somebody who's younger. So that's one thing that shows right away. Second thing is that, and this is totally selfish, is that I don't know if I can keep up with them. Just to be transparent, it's like, I'll be honest about it. I do lots of exercise and do other things, but I can't sprint and run marathons like I used to, back in the day. So that feels like there's another piece to be aware of. And so part of me feels like I don't want to cross that line. I don't want to cross the line. I don't want to have to show up that I can't do that sort of thing. So I don't even deal with it. The third piece, though, is the difference of perspective. And we talked about this offline, is about, what we've had in terms of maturity and life experience we've had. Some women in general who are a lot younger than me, they don't have the perspective on the world that I have, and that feels like a bridge too far. Like, I don't want to educate them, because the other part is that if I become the father figure to them, that's not cool for me. Maybe cool for them, but not cool for me.
Yeah, that's where I was getting at. That's where I was.
I knew it was in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and same for me. I mean, exactly, as an older woman, I've had many opportunities to date younger men, and I would say I think the youngest person I was ever with was when I was actually in my 30s, and there was like I think I was 32 and he was 26 or something. That was the biggest age difference I'd ever been in. Prior to that, I always dated older men. I mean, that was 100% hands up my father issue that I was attracted to older men when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Then it seemed to even out after that sort of just tiny bit going a little bit younger. I think then, I married my ex-husband. He was 5 years older than me, and my present partner is 2 years older than me. So I'm more comfortable in a close relationship. And for me, it's all the things you discussed. But primarily for me, it's I would hate to feel like somebody's mother. I mean, it's especially as a mother myself, I think when you look at your children, and I know women that date boys, I'd say the same age as their own boys.
Right.
And it's certainly true of men. I mean, I think there is many men that date women or even marry women that are younger than their own daughters, which can create a lot of conflict. But
yes, when your stepmother is 2 years younger than you, that's a weird feeling, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I mean there are certainly, to tell me more. I mean, again, I just want to hear it through a male voice. I mean, I have all my data of why men find younger women attractive. We all know it's that sort of the men are supposed to be more physical and or visual, and obviously, taut, tight skin is supposed to be more attractive than flabby wrinkles. But
Mm-hmm.
what is it that when you are attracted to, say, not too young, where you say it turns you off, like that 20 years is too young, but what is it about being attracted to a younger person that fits into your range, that is 15 years younger than you? What is it that attracts you to them more than, say, somebody your own age or even a couple of years older than you? I know you said culturally that you were sort of led to believe that you choose somebody a few years younger than you. So
Right.
say, what is it that's more attractive, that's somebody that is 15 years younger as opposed to 5 years younger? Can you
Well,
think
this is
of
the thing I
those?
need to put on the table as well, because this has been, I mean, noticed because I'm single, I'm on the dating apps, and I notice what I see out there is that, and this is going to speak this out clearly, and people, if you take offense to this, is your choice. I'm just letting you know what I've noticed is I see women out there who are in their 50s who look way older than women I see who are in their 60s. So it's not just age based; it's almost internal age as much as it is chronological age. And that for me is one of those things where what I find attractive is the youthfulness, energetically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know women in their 60s who run rings around women who are 20 years younger than them because they're so youthful inside. And some of it is visually, you see it in the way that their hair and their skin is because they've taken care of themselves or they didn't go in the sun as much. Because being in LA, I see people who've been in the sun who are younger than me, whose skin looks like it's 20 years older because they've been out and dried out. So, and I know it's callous saying it that way, but that's the thing, is that how we take care of ourselves telegraphs our youthfulness. And so for women who are 10, 15 years younger than me, that's one of those things I like, but also I've seen women who are close to my age who look that way too. So that's what I'm saying. It's not just one clear definition. It's really an energetic feeling so much. And so women who are that much younger, for one reason, is also, and this is totally selfish, I don't plan on being a father of my own kids because I feel like I'm past that point energetically. Because the thing is, when they're 20 years old, I'll be in my 80s, and that doesn't feel appropriate to them. Mm-hmm. So to be the woman who either's already had kids or doesn't want kids now, that feels cleaner for me too. That may be more of a social thing or a logistical thing for me. So that's one reason I don't generally go much younger than that, because there's some women who are in their 40s who think they still want to have kids. That's not a thing for me either, you know?
Yeah, before you move on, I do want to talk about this subject, and then we'll move on to some of the others, but because that is such an important distinction. I mean, that is why, not just like we said, the visuals and, people tending to look more, I think attractiveness is 100% internal, and you can take this. I've never been attracted to this sort of stereotypical handsome 6-pack type model body. I think I dated one once. I think it was so like, oh no. I mean, it was hysterical. It was so funny being with a man that was more vain than you. But
that's the thing. Yeah.
But other than that, I digress. Other than that, I do think that there is also definitely a biological instinct that some men have to want to spread their seed, for want of a better word, or have a family. It's a drive, I think, that is very unconscious to want to do that, and that also ties into why often men more than women statistically tend to cheat more. There is more of that sort of drive, I think, that men have to battle more than women. I think women, and these are generalizations for sure, but there is also data to back it up, that women are more sort of nurturing their young and things like that, and there are men that are out spreading their seed. So but I find that interesting that you were aware of that, and instead of it being you're attracted to a younger woman because you want to become a father, that plays into your cutoff point, that plays into not going too young, where you might come up against that the younger person does want to start a family and you're done and you don't too. And I have clients that are battling with that right now. And it's not so much an age difference, but they're in their late 30s, early 40s. They want another child, and the person they're with is actually of the same age, but they're like, no, done. Don't want children. Either I've had my children and I don't want any more, or I don't want children. And it's so hard. It's a big, that is a whole other show in itself, is do you stay with somebody with children when you don't? But going back to, okay, so I like that. So one of them is you actually are aware that you don't want to be with somebody that wants to have children, or is young, too young to make that decision. Because somebody in their 20s can say, I never want children, and then they can hit their 30s and say, I don't know what happened, I want children now. But
I have friends who went through that, absolutely. And by the way, one sidebar, I have no problem with being. In fact, I'm fine with being around a woman who already has kids. That's not an issue. It's about being the sperm donor at this age doesn't feel right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, great. So moving on. What's the other thing?
Well, I said the other thing is youthfulness. Well, the thing is, and this is another thing I've been aware of too. It's maybe another topic to put another show as well. But plastic surgery has become. I'm noticing more and more around the women I'm around, and I know it's big in LA over many years. But what the thing is that women who are now who had the surgery in their 20s and 30s, in the 50s, starting to show it, and it doesn't look as good as it did. And unfortunately, that's one of the challenges. So, like a woman, and again, selfish request, is a woman who's basically is taking care of themselves, who didn't go the artificial route to make them look better. Because again, youthfulness, the energy of who they are, how they carry themselves, what they're about, is what attracts me. They're, again, women who are in their 50s And in fact, there's a woman I know, a friend of mine, she's in her early 60s. She's like a 20-year-old the way she acts around. She dances, she has fun, she plays. And yeah, and her skin is not as soft and smooth as it was back then, but her vibrancy, her energy, her joy is a pleasure to be around because she carries herself with that youthfulness. And she's a smart woman too. She's not like a dumb kid sort of thing. So that's why I say the age thing is an interesting number thing to talk about, because it's not necessarily about younger age, it's about younger energetic,
Exactly.
youthfulness, like some use.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so without a doubt. I mean, I think that's something that is within your control to keep, even if you're fighting gravity. You don't have to lose your energy. So, um,
Right.
so excuse me. What about? Do you find that sometimes when you date younger women that you get a fresh perspective than yours? Is that exciting to you to be with somebody that brings something new to the relationship?
Well, I get something new from any woman I'm hanging around with, regardless of dating or not. So, not necessarily an age thing that creates that for me.
Just
As I said a
culture,
little earlier, well,
like
that's yeah. Well, the thing is, and this, I mentioned this earlier, is that for me, being around a younger woman beyond a certain point, we don't have as much in common to talk about.
yeah,
Like with music, for example, is one easy one to go with.
yeah.
My music tastes aren't based on where I was raised from. My music tastes are much more current, but it's not as current as somebody in the 20s would have, for example. So the difference in musical choices can be kind of clearly defined. And so that perspective may or may not be additive. And
Mm.
so for me, being around someone who's got views that it's a life experience thing. I've had enough life experience that when I'm around somebody who hasn't had as much life experience, doesn't matter what fresh view they're bringing, we still don't meet on a common ground. It feels like it's not going to work out romantically. Yes, maybe as a friend, I can mine for information. It could be good. But to be with somebody romantically who doesn't have a certain amount of life experience to share the common values with, that's more important than a fresh viewpoint.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and another one. Do
I've got a list.
and I want you to be so honest here.
Okay.
Do you feel more attractive? I mean, this is completely out of referencing. I understand that. But is there something about you when you're with a more attractive woman than a less attractive woman? Or, as say, a younger attractive woman to versus a middle-aged, not so attractive woman? Is there something, a part of you that basks in that reflective glory of being chosen by somebody that anybody in the world, No, I'm teasing. But you know what I mean? Is there something, does it boost your self esteem? Do you feel more attractive and more desirable when a younger woman is attracted to you?
Um, Used to be probably more so than it is now, for sure, just to be really honest. When I was much more insecure, like back in my 20s and 30s, when a good looking woman was attracted to me, I was almost like, who, me? I'd feel so self conscious and not feeling like I was deserving of it. So yeah, I would bask in it at that time. Nowadays, if I go out with somebody who's attractive, I'm enjoying the view more than I'm enjoying being seen, to be transparent. So I'm much more happy to be around someone who I enjoy looking at. And if
Yeah,
some people notice it, big deal. They're probably looking at her anyway, not me. So I don't get a sense of like, look at me, I'm with this cute looking woman. That doesn't come up for me. No.
yeah. I love that. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, we all enjoy looking at beautiful things. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
when I say attractiveness is for me, it's the inside. I'm not dismissing that I like attractive men. I mean, I love
Hmm.
attractive men, but it really is the whole package. It's the energy. It's
Yeah.
it's all this other stuff that yeah, I remember I used to even say years and years ago, I could have been attracted to Woody Allen before he became a pedophile, but it was
And
controversial.
then
But
let's speak to that for a second, because that's true. This is from both sides of the conversation. Is that someone who looks attractive could hide a whole wealth of narcissistic or behavioral dysfunction that you don't see when you first glance at them. And
mhm,
I'm thankfully had enough life experience where when I meet someone who's attractive, when I was very young, I would jump right away. But now I tend to sort of take my time just to get to know, because I want to see if I can sense if they match that, or if
mhm,
there's something else I need to be aware of. Because oftentimes when I meet someone who's attractive, not oftentimes, but when I know someone's attractive, sometimes I notice something amiss, something that where I go, there's something wrong here. I can't tell what it is, but something's telling me that, like, I get radar signals, like going, step away, or don't get too invested. And then I found out later something was going on I didn't know about, like there was an ex-husband in the picture or something, or there was some behavioral issue that I'm glad I didn't get caught up in. So that attraction thing, yes, it's definitely about what's inside. So yeah.
No, yeah, without a doubt. And just going back to the Woody Allen thing, what I was meaning when I said that was that, that there are people that are maybe not classically physically attractive, but they are incredibly talented. And that's one of my huge attractions is talent.
There
I
you go.
mean, whether you're a painter, a writer, an artist, a musician, I am so drawn to extremely talented people. And equally so, sort of philanthropic people and people with an open, loving heart and things like that. Those are all very important as well. But going back to, it was interesting that I brought up Woody Allen. I was thinking more just on the attraction level, but that massive age difference between him and basically his stepdaughter that he ended up marrying. That was, that for me, that not only is it, I think when you have such a vast age difference, I do sort of question a little bit your role as a father figure when you're at least 35 years older than a partner, something like that. I mean, at that point, I mean, certainly 10 years, 15, no, but when it becomes like 30, I just, I'm just really, I mean, I know, who else was that I heard? Maybe I should stop naming actors. Anyway, known
Trouble here.
in his 80s, loves to date women in their 20s. Now that's a almost 60-year age difference. That's a lot to me. That is a lot.
Well, and on top, back to the kids thing for a second, like so a couple of members of the Rolling Stones have had babies in their 70s. That's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
That seems so crazy and so that's what I'm saying. For me, I don't necessarily match the general norm. So I agree with you absolutely that if I was going around with somebody who's in their 20s, I'd be more like a guardian for them. I wouldn't feel like a partner. That's
Yeah.
my way of feeling anyway. So I would be the father type figure anyway.
Well, let me just say, if I was in my 20s, I think I'd still be attracted to Mick Jagger. Yeah, I'd have his baby. That one
There you
doesn't.
go.
I take back everything I said about the big age difference.
See, there are exceptions.
See? Yes, exactly. So anyway, sorry, I'm still a bit croaky here from my cold. One of the other um, things about the attraction, I think, to the younger person, it's what I've heard men say to me, and I'm curious about you. Younger women have less baggage.
Yeah, well, since that's part of my work with baggage and with clients, I'd rather be with somebody who's actually healed their baggage than someone who hasn't got any. Because
Yeah.
someone who's healed their baggage has got more wisdom, more healing has happened, so their heart's stronger, and they're much more present to have a conversation. With somebody who's never had any baggage, is so oblivious that they're almost like they don't have a view of anything. So part of me feels like they'd be too different.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds crazy, but most of us in human form have had, especially as we go through years, have accumulated certain wounds and done work and had baggage and healed and that sort of thing along the way. And there's something valuable about that for me, especially if you've done the work and you are a much more whole person, because there's something that shows maturity, it shows emotional mastery, it shows authenticity that maybe someone who's younger who hasn't done any work doesn't know about yet.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And it's often when I've heard a man say that, they're usually men with massive amounts of baggage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I want to laugh inside. And I think, yeah, of course you want somebody with no baggage because you've got so much of your own. There's no room for any more baggage in your house.
Well, the reality is also you've probably been so busy burying it, you don't want to be reminded of it from somebody else.
Maybe exactly.
You know?
But it is.
Yeah.
It's that dismissive, not wanting complexity, not wanting maturity, not wanting life experience. It's like, no, just give me young, fresh, innocent, virgin, almost like purity of the fact that there have been no prior relationships, there have been no divorce, there have been no children, they have all the things that come with, as you say, life experience for most people. I'm just trying to think I think we've covered most of the points of
Oh, we
what it
have.
is. There's a lot of them, and also just I think also often people that choose younger people, it's usually not always by any chance, but there are a certain sector of men that have maybe been with one person all their life. They've met them when they were in high school, they've married them, they've had their life together. Then they hit that point in their life, and whether it's due to a midlife crisis or just the relationship has fallen apart, you've grown apart, whatever it is, that sometimes there is that sort of need and desire to explore what you haven't had, to go back to that youth, to go back to those younger people. And I know a lot of men. I mean, even my partner, who is, like I say, 2 years older than me, when he first got divorced at 40, he said there was a period of time when he, not younger than, did he divorce at 40? Somewhere around there. But yeah, it was 40. But I think he said the youngest he went was like 28 or 30. And he said he just felt like their father, and it was absolutely not right for him. But there was a period of time when he dated, somebody as young as 12 years younger than him. And there was that sort of youthfulness and that back. But quite quickly he decided, after a couple of these relationships, he started getting older and older, and in the end he wants somebody his own age within a year or two, like I said,
Right.
that brings everything, the companionship, which is actually our next show. We're going to talk about, just as we haven't, I want to finish this one off by just simply saying this is not a judgment. There are many people, like I said, if Mick Jagger was free, sorry if Medea, let me up. So
Yep.
there are wonderful relationships where there is a huge age gap, and it
Hmm.
and they are fabulous together. And I have many friends that are in that situation, women with older men that they absolutely adore, love, have an incredible relationship with. They do not feel like a child. They feel like their partner is their partner, and there is a tenderness and a lovingness that's mutual, and there is that mutual respect. So I hope today we've just pointed out some what the drive is sometimes, and it's not to judge
Yeah.
it; it's to just bring it out into the
Just
open and say this is what we're dealing with.
and differences. Again, that's why I was speaking from my own experience. This is only my own perception. There are other men who think differently.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, is that we have different perspectives. So nothing that we've said here necessarily is the only way.
no, exactly,
So
and it's again more importantly, nobody's judging it. Do whatever the hell. Two consenting adults, go for it. Don't hurt
exactly.
anybody, especially animals and children. So, but
We're going into fight at the road there.
I just two consenting adults can do what they want. But
Indeed.
yeah, again, so long as it doesn't hurt people. Um, so yeah, so I think next week we will talk about some of the benefits of. We've just talked about the benefits of being with a younger person, the benefits of being with somebody your own age, and what that brings to the relationship, because that's
Mm,
very rich as well. And
absolutely.
we can talk about that. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so I'll get off the hot seat now. Thank you.
Yes, well, you can do the same to me next week. You can put me on the hot
Ooh,
seat. Oh, all right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this. I love talking to you, Barry. I look forward to this each week. So I will
me
see
too.
everybody next week. Thank you again so much. Bye
Sure
bye.
thing. Take care of yourself, everybody. Bye. We trust you enjoyed this episode and invite you to share this with your friends and loved ones. In fact, please subscribe to our Relationship Mastery podcast. That way you'll get each new episode fresh and shiny as soon as it is released. We'd love to hear from you as well. So go ahead and enter your questions and comments at relationshipmastery.show. Take good care. We will connect with you in our next episode of Relationship Mastery.